Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be looking at The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Peñaranda.
Oh, yeah, I've heard good things about this one.
It sounds like you want to get the highlights of this fantasy novel without actually reading the whole thing.
Yeah, kind of a VIP tour of the world and the themes.
Okay, cool. Well, we can definitely do that for you.
Sounds good.
And we've got the text of the novel itself, of course. And I did a little digging online, and it looks like the author has been pretty active on social media talking about the book.
Awesome.
So we've got some good stuff to work with.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with Astraea, the main character?
Okay.
So she's living with this guy, Hector,
Hmm.
and he's controlling, let's just say controlling.
Yeah, right away the author kind of sets off those alarm bells.
Yeah, you get the sense that something's not quite right.
Exactly.
We find out that Hector is like shielding Astraea from vampires, but his reasons are not clear at all.
It makes you wonder, is he protecting her or is it something else? Is he trying to control her?
Yeah, what's the deal with Hector? And then Astraea, she's not exactly thrilled with this whole situation.
No, she wants more out of life.
She's like, I don't want to be stuck here.
Yeah, she's not just going to sit back and accept her fate.
So she makes this daring escape with the help of Zathrian.
And that's when things really start to get interesting.
Yeah, she's immediately thrust into this dangerous world.
These soul-sucking creatures called soulless, they don't make it easy for her.
Talk about out of the frying pan into the fire.
Right. And then we've got Knight, this mysterious character who comes to her rescue.
Yeah, he's so intriguing. I was even a little smitten with him at first.
Oh, he definitely knows how to make an entrance.
But there's something about him that's a little unnerving, too.
Yeah, he's a bit of an enigma, blurring the lines between hero and potential threat.
You're not sure if you can trust him.
Right. And we find out that he's connected to Astraea's past somehow.
A past that even she doesn't fully understand.
It's like he knows more about her than she knows about herself.
Yeah, and that definitely keeps you guessing. So speaking of things that keep you on the edge of your seat, let's talk about the Libertatum.
Okay.
This brutal competition where humans fight for a chance at immortality.
Oh, wow.
And the winner also gets to protect their kingdom from vampires.
So the stakes are incredibly high.
Oh yeah, it's a life or death situation.
And it really makes you think about the power dynamics in this world.
Like what lengths people will go to for survival.
Exactly.
And what does it mean to be immortal in a world like this?
Yeah. Is it a blessing or a curse?
And Astraea finds herself right in the middle of this whole mess.
Of course she does.
She journeys to the Central, which is like the heart of the six realms.
With Cassia, right, the selected from her kingdom.
Yes. But their journey takes a tragic turn.
Oh.
Yeah, Cassius is killed, and Astraea is left completely devastated.
Oh, wow. That's heartbreaking.
It's a real turning point for her character.
Yeah, she has to confront the harsh reality of this world.
She realizes that survival means being strong and resilient.
And she has to find that strength within herself.
It's a classic loss of innocence moment.
Yeah, she's forced to grow up fast.
And the trials she faces in the Libertatum, they just keep getting more intense.
Like, what kind of trials are we talking about?
Well, there's this one with a matchstick puzzle.
A matchstick puzzle.
Yeah, it's all about thinking outside the box.
Oh, I like that.
And then she has this terrifying encounter with a crocata.
It's a crocata.
It's a creature that can take on Astraea's appearance.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's like she's facing a twisted version of herself.
It makes you wonder if the author is using these fantastical elements to symbolize something deeper.
Right, like maybe it's about Astraea's own internal struggles with identity.
Exactly.
And as we delve deeper into this world, we start to uncover more about the forces at play.
Like the king.
Yeah, what's his deal? He's definitely not just some benevolent ruler.
Right. He seems to be pulling the strings behind the scenes.
And then there's the whole mystery surrounding the celestial veil.
This barrier separating the human world from something else.
Something powerful and maybe dangerous.
It's like there's a whole other world out there that we're only glimpsing.
Yeah. And then there's the prophecy of Knight's death.
Which looms over everything like a dark cloud.
It's this constant reminder that something big is coming.
Something that could change the fate of the entire realm.
And through it all, Astraea is going through this amazing transformation.
Yeah, she's not that naive girl anymore.
She's becoming a strong and determined competitor.
She's finding her own power.
And it's not just about brute force.
Right.
Her magical abilities are starting to emerge, and she's discovering this connection to starlight.
That's so cool.
It's like she's tapping into a source of strength that's been inside her all along.
I wonder if it's connected to the celestial veil somehow.
It might be.
It feels like there's a lot more to uncover there.
Definitely.
So we've got this intense competition, a mysterious king, A prophecy hanging over everyone's heads.
And Astraea is right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be quite a story.
And we haven't even touched on the romance and betrayal yet.
Oh, right, there's that too.
Astraea's relationship with Knight is so full of tension.
Yeah, and there are some pretty heartbreaking betrayals along the way,
It makes you realize that trust is a fragile thing.
especially in a world where survival is constantly at stake.
And just when you think you're starting to understand the players and their motivations, bam,
What happened?
we get this huge revelation that changes everything.
Don't leave me hanging.
Knight, our brooding hero.
Yeah.
He's connected to Knight's death, the very figure that everyone fears.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
That's a game changer.
It makes you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about him.
And about the forces at play in this world.
Exactly, and that's just the first part of the story.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Are you ready to delve deeper into the mysteries of The Stars Are Dying?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Let's dive into part 2 and see what other secrets this world has to offer that reveal about Night and Night's death. Whoa.
Right. Like what?
It's like, okay, who is this guy really?
Yeah, you think you're starting to figure him out, and then boom, it makes you question everything.
It does. And speaking of Night, remember that prologue?
With the constellation.
Yeah, that was him, right? Watching it fade.
Yeah, for 200 years he was heartbroken.
200 years.
It just adds so much depth to his character.
It really does. You see this profound sadness, this deep loss.
Yeah, and it makes his connection with Astraea even more powerful.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much at stake for both of them.
And there's that prophecy mentioned in the prologue about Knight's death falling and the world drowning in starlight.
Yeah. What was that all about?
It seems like everyone has a different interpretation, but no one really knows what it means.
Typical prophecy stuff.
Vague and open to interpretation.
Exactly. And it creates so much suspense.
You're constantly wondering what's going to happen.
And it raises those questions about fate versus free will.
Like, are these characters really in control of their destinies?
Or are they just pawns in some grand cosmic game?
Yeah, good question.
Makes you think.
Take Cassia, for example. She was convinced that Knight's death had to be stopped, even if it meant sacrificing herself.
She was so sure of her mission.
And it makes you question those moral dilemmas.
Like, is it ever okay to take a life even for the greater good?
And who gets to decide what the greater good is?
Exactly. Those are tough questions.
Especially when you consider Knight's dual nature.
Right. He seems to be torn between protecting Astraea and his connection to Night's death.
Like he's battling these two sides of himself.
It's like he's trapped between a rock and a hard place.
I know, and then to find out that he hides Knight's death?
Mind blown.
Talk about a game changer.
It makes you wonder if those who fear Night's death are actually fearing a part of themselves.
That's deep.
Right. Like maybe there's a little bit of Night's death in all of us.
Maybe.
It's like that whole monster within theme that we see in so many stories.
Like Jekyll and Hyde.
Exactly, or Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, those are good examples.
Knight's struggle with his darker side. It's both terrifying and relatable.
Totally, because we all have those internal battles.
And it makes you question, can someone be both a monster and a savior?
Can you really have both darkness and light within you?
It's a question that stays with you.
Definitely.
So what about the celestial veil? What is that exactly?
Yeah, what's on the other side?
I feel like it's this physical and metaphorical barrier.
Okay, I can see that.
Like it's separating the mortal realm from something bigger, something beyond our understanding.
It's like we're only seeing a tiny piece of the puzzle.
Right, and the author gives us these little glimpses, just enough to pique our curiosity.
Like when Knight takes Astraea to his hidden chamber.
Oh, yeah. That was a cool scene.
It was breathtakingly beautiful.
And full of power.
But also sorrow.
Yeah, you could feel the weight of Night's past there.
And that's where we learn that he's a celestial.
The son of the god of dusk and the goddess of dawn.
It explains his connection to starlight.
And adds another layer to his tragic backstory.
It's like he's this powerful being who's been imprisoned and cut off from his heritage.
And then there's that line about him being cursed never to find true love.
It's heartbreaking.
He's powerful, he's enigmatic, but he's also deeply lonely.
And it makes his connection with Astraea even more important.
Because if they do fall in love, will it break the curse or will it destroy them both?
The suspense is killing me.
Right. The author is a master at keeping us guessing.
And speaking of keeping us guessing, what about the king?
He's up to something, that's for sure.
He's definitely not just some benevolent ruler.
He's got his own agenda.
And it seems like he's using the Libertatum to achieve his goals.
Maybe he's trying to maintain control over the realm.
And what about those rumors of a rebellion brewing?
Things could get messy.
It sounds like Astraea might be caught in the crossfire.
She's not just fighting for her own survival anymore.
Right, she's becoming a symbol of hope for those who want to overthrow the king.
It's a battle for the soul of the kingdom.
And it all leads up to this epic showdown between Astraea and the king.
Talk about a climax.
She has to make this impossible choice.
Save the man she loves or protect the realm from his power.
And she chooses love.
It's a beautiful moment.
It shows how much she's grown and how strong she's become.
She's willing to risk everything for love.
Even if it means defying those in power.
It's inspiring.
And then we're left with the aftermath.
The king is defeated. Knight's death is liberated.
And characters like Zathri and Rose Calix are all trying to figure out what comes next.
It's a satisfying ending, but it also leaves you wanting more.
Like, what's going to happen to Astraea and Knight now?
What about the realm?
Will there be peace, or will chaos ensue?
So many questions.
It feels like this is just the beginning of their story.
Yeah, like the author has created this vast and intricate world that we've only just begun to explore.
And speaking of exploring, I'm really interested in that duality you mentioned earlier.
The light and darkness,
Yes.
good and evil, human and celestial.
Yeah, it's like those themes are woven into every aspect of the story.
It's what makes it so complex and thought-provoking.
I'm ready to dive into part 3 and explore those themes in more depth.
Wow.
So we've talked about this world full of prophecies and celestial beings and this brutal competition.
Yeah, and like you said before, these really interesting dualities that the author plays with.
The light and dark, good and evil, human and celestial.
It's not like a simple good versus evil kind of story.
No, it's much more nuanced than that.
The lines are blurred.
Right, and it makes the characters so much more interesting.
Yeah, because they're not perfect. They're not all good or all bad.
They're complex, just like real people.
Exactly.
Take Astraea, for example. She starts out so innocent and sheltered,
Right.
but as she faces all these challenges and uncovers all these secrets, we see this other side of her emerge.
This strength and determination.
Yeah, she's capable of incredible compassion, but also this fierce anger.
It's like she's discovering who she really is.
And she's not afraid to fight for what she believes in.
And that's what makes her such a great character.
She's not just a damsel in distress.
No, she's a force to be reckoned with.
And then there's Knight, who embodies that duality more than anyone else.
Oh, yeah, he's a walking contradiction.
He's both Knight's death, this figure of fear and destruction.
And this celestial being who longs for love and
I
connection.
mean, it's like he's constantly battling these two sides of himself.
And it's Astraea who helps him to find that balance.
Her love and acceptance
Yeah.
is what ultimately redeems him.
It's a powerful message about the transformative power of love.
And it makes you think about how we often judge others based on appearances or preconceived notions.
Right, we see Knight as this scary monster at first.
But there's so much more to him than that.
And it's Astraea who sees that.
She looks beyond the surface and recognizes the good within him.
And that's a challenge to all of us, right? To look deeper and see the complexities in others.
Not just in our romantic relationships, but in all our relationships.
Exact.
And the author doesn't just explore this duality in the characters.
No, it's woven into the setting, too.
Like the central, this bustling city that's both beautiful and dangerous.
It's a reflection of the human world, right?
Full of contradictions.
And then there's the celestial realm, this mysterious place that we only get glimpses of.
It represents the unknown, the aspiration.
Like there's always something more to discover.
always something beyond our current understanding.
Exactly.
So why is all of this important? Why should we
Yeah.
care about these dualities?
I think the author's trying to show us that the world is not black and white,
It's full of gray areas.
and that we all have the capacity for both darkness and light,
It's a call to embrace nuance, to challenge our assumptions.
to look deeper and see the complexities within ourselves and others.
And ultimately, I think The Stars Are Dying is a story about hope.
Yeah, definitely.
It suggests that even in the darkest of times, we have the power to choose love, compassion, redemption,
And that's a message that we all need to hear.
especially in the world we live in today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to keep exploring this world.
Pay attention to the symbolism, the character arcs, the nuances of those binary opposites.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
That's it for our deep dive into The Stars Are Dying.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure exploring this incredible world with you.
And who knows, maybe we'll revisit it again someday.
Until then, keep reading, keep questioning, and keep those stars from dying.